The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen this morning alongside Moses Small. Another month, another community prayer, and still no sign or any clues as to the whereabouts of Orrin and Orson West, the two brothers who went missing out of California City. 17's Christian Galeno has a look back on the past 10 months.
In this 5 o'clock hour with a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old boy who've gone missing.
We've been out here for hours in California City and still no update from police.
We're on day 3 of this investigation.
It's a puzzle, and there are key pieces that are missing.
Key pieces that are slivers of hope the family of missing brothers Orson and Orrin have been gripping onto for the past 10 months.
Something happened. Something happened.
I don't feel like they're deceased. I feel like somebody have them. And it might not be in California, but I don't know.
Since their disappearance, Bakersfield Police Department has taken over the investigation, but this has also been a head scratcher for those attempting to bring the boys home.
And we are using every legal means to figure out what happened and get the facts and circumstances behind what occurred.
The boys were reported missing by their adopted parents on December 21st, 2020.
But we're the only ones out here, including the supporters, who are pushing for the boys. We haven't heard nothing from their side of the family, the adopted family. It's one of those situations where you open a door and that door leads to another hallway, which leads to another hallway, which leads to another hallway. So we haven't reached the end of our journey yet.
But the hope remains that they will get an answer to the question that's been asked over and over for the past 10 months. Where are the boys?
Even if they're a little bit old, I hope there's some feature, that they see on their face, their nose or their lips or their eyes or anything that just stands out to them that makes them question, like, could that be, one of the boys? Could it be? Just possibly?
That was 17's Christian Galeno reporting. We'll have more on today's somber anniversary tonight on 17 News at 5 and 6, plus an exclusive interview with the boys' biological father tonight at 11.
Meantime, cable network News Nation, owned by our parent company Nexstar, is dedicating a segment to Orrin and Orson West as part of its new series, Missing in America. The episode, which was set to air yesterday, has been moved to tonight. You can watch Missing in America on News Nation at 6 p.m. Here in town, a special prayer event will be held in honor of the West boys tonight, with attendees praying for the boys' safe return. That's happening at 6 p.m. at the intersection of Potomac Avenue and South Owen Street, just south of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Park in East Bakersfield.
And now to Kern's homelessness crisis and a big expansion project coming to a local shelter. The Bakersfield City Council last night voted unanimously to approve the design of a 150-bed expansion project for the Brundage Lane Navigation Center. Officials say the facility has reached capacity, resulting in an average of 64 people each week being turned away for services. Since it opened on October 26, 2020, the center's provided services to 750 homeless clients and found permanent housing for 85 people.
There's a need to continue the work we're doing. There's a need to add more bed space. The Brundage Lane Navigation Center is a natural fit for that expansion, given the city's wise decision-making initially when they planned this site. There's room for expansion there, and we're all for it. The county applauds any effort to continue to strengthen that facility and the work that they're doing out there.
The $58,000 expansion design project is covered by funding from the Public Safety and Vital Services Measure, also known as Measure N.
Also passed last night, retention bonuses for Bakersfield police officers. The $5,000 bonuses to rank and file officers are part of a new contract with the local police unit. Long-serving members will receive an additional $3,000 to $20,000 as part of a longevity bonus. It's part of the city's efforts to aid its recruitment efforts and add 100 officers to the force within 3 years of the passage of Measure N, known as Public Safety and Vital Services Measure, approved by voters in 2018. The council also passing a 2.5% pay increase for city firefighters.
The FDA authorized booster shots for millions of Americans yesterday, hours after the Biden administration rolled out its plans to vaccinate younger children. Authorized by the FDA late yesterday, booster shots for adults vaccinated with Moderna and Johnson & Johnson could now be days away. It comes as the White House unveils its massive plan to begin vaccinating 28 million children between the ages of 5 and 11 who could qualify for their first shots of Pfizer vaccines as early as November. The rollout uses sites like schools and community centers to ensure families have easy access to the free vaccine.
We have to be prepared to ensure that we can get vaccines to families as soon as the FDA and the CDC issue their decision.
Pfizer's 2-dose regimen, given 3 weeks apart, is the same formula used for adults, just a smaller dose. The White House says they will prepackage the child-sized vials and ship out 15 million doses days after official authorization.
And we have a grim update from public health yesterday as we learned of another 16 lives lost to COVID-19 here in Kern County. The 16 deaths bring our total to 1,632 lives lost to the virus. Most of the new deaths are from September, the worst month of the third surge in cases. In fact, last month was one of the deadliest months of the pandemic, and health officials are still counting the bodies. Hospitals are still busy as state data shows 226 people are being treated for more severe symptoms. 72 are being treated in intensive care units. Both of those figures up from late last week. Coronavirus still has its grip on our county, but it is loosening. So if you're looking for a silver lining, here it is. The number of daily cases continues to decline. We learned of another 362 cases yesterday, and our daily average is now under 300 people testing positive each day.
Local hospitals, meantime, are still dealing with large numbers of acutely ill patients stricken with COVID-19, despite our lower daily case numbers.
We have 47 COVID patients today, which we did dip down as low as 41 for one day, and then it just kind of easing back up a little bit again. We have 13 COVID patients in the ICU, 11 of whom are on vents, so that's concerning.
Mercy Hospital's president and CEO Bruce Peters reporting yesterday that local hospitals are still dealing with an influx of COVID patients. Dignity Health officials say some of the influx is due to large gatherings like the Kern County Fair, but cases should be decreasing within the next few weeks. They also say most of our recent deaths are due to the Delta variant, though they don't have solid statistics at this point.
And turning now to 17 homicide tracker with a man shot and killed in North Bakersfield. It happened just before 2 yesterday afternoon on 31st Street near Q Street. The man's identity has not been released, nor is any information on the shooter. By our count, this marks the 114th homicide in Kern County so far this year.
We've also learned the name of a man shot and killed in Lamont Tuesday night. The killing happening just a block away from the scene of another homicide last weekend. According to Kern County Sheriff's Office, a call came in around 11:45 for a report of a shooting on School Street near Elmco Avenue. That's where deputies found the body of 19-year-old Jose Luis Ramos. Investigators say they have no information on a potential shooter. Last night's homicide came just days after another deadly shooting just a block away. KCSO says 36-year-old Ruben Anthony Aguilar Sr. was shot and killed on Primrose Avenue and Paradise Road Saturday evening. No arrests have been made in that case either.
And happening today, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is inviting the community to its National Night Out event. It will be held at the Sheriff's headquarters on Norris Road from 5:30 p.m. to 7. It's a free event with fun activities for the public to enjoy, and children are encouraged to wear costumes. The Sheriff's Office will have all the specialized units out there with booths and hands-on activities. Masks are encouraged, but not required to attend.
Recapping our top stories, today marks 10 months since Orrin and Orson West were reported missing from their home in California City. A special prayer event will be held in honor of the West boys tonight. That's happening at 6 p.m. at the intersection of Potomac Avenue and South Owen Street in East Bakersfield. The Bakersfield City Council last night voted unanimously to approve the design of a 150-bed expansion project for the Brundage Lane Navigation Center. Officials say the facility has reached capacity, resulting in an average of 64 people each week being turned away from services. The $58,000 project is covered by funding from Measure N. And also passed last night retention bonuses for the Bakersfield Police Department. The $5,000 bonuses to rank and file officers are part of a new contract with the local police union. It's part of the city's efforts to aid its recruitment efforts and add 100 officers to the force within 3 years of the passage of Measure N.
In national news, new developments this morning in the Gabby Petito murder case. Investigators in Florida found human remains near a backpack believed to belong to Petito's missing fiance, Brian Laundrie. Investigators have not confirmed whether or not the remains belong to Laundrie, who is considered a person of interest in the case. NBC's Jay Gray has the latest.
Led by Brian Laundrie's parents, an FBI evidence response team and police briefly search an area just off one of his favorite hiking trails.
Investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
Cadaver dogs and the Sarasota County Medical Examiner called in. Agents say they're using all available forensic resources as their investigation continues. Laundrie has been the only identified person of interest since the disappearance of his girlfriend, Gabby Petito. The two had been touring national parks across the western U.S., but Laundrie apparently traveled back home to Florida alone, showing up at his parents' house, driving Petito's van September 1st. When she didn't answer phone calls from her parents and with Laundrie and his family refusing to talk with investigators, officials launched a nationwide search. Her remains were found September 19th in a Wyoming forest near a spot where the couple had last been seen together. Her death ruled a homicide, the coroner saying she died by strangulation.
I know you have a lot of questions, but we don't have all the answers yet.
The FBI expects to remain on the ground here for the next several days. Jay Gray, NBC News, Northport, Florida.
More than 3.5 years after the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history, the young man who pulled the trigger pleaded guilty yesterday and told the families of the victims gathered in a Florida courtroom he's sorry. Nicholas Cruz has admitted killing 17 students in the 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Family members of victims packed the courtroom to watch the hearing, many breaking down in tears as the victims' names were read. Cruz at one point became emotional, apologizing for the attack.
And I'm trying my best to maintain my composure, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry. And I hope you give me a chance to try to help others.
The case now goes to a 12-member jury that will determine whether Cruz is sentenced to death or life in prison without parole.
Making headlines around the state, a trial has been set for the man accused of murdering missing college student Kristen Smart. It was announced in a San Luis Obispo courtroom yesterday that a trial will take place in April of next year for Paul and Ruben Flores. Paul Flores is charged with the murder of Kristen Smart. Investigators say the 19-year-old was last seen in 1996, leaving a party with Flores, who had offered to walk her back to her dorm. Paul's father, Ruben Flores, is charged with accessory after the fact. According to the district attorney, they believe Ruben had knowledge of the murder committed by his son Paul and helped him conceal evidence. Both Paul and Ruben Flores have pleaded not guilty.
Every third Thursday in October, the Great Shakeout runs earthquake drills across the globe. The main idea, well, you can't plan when an earthquake will happen, but you can be prepared for it. 17's Chris Burton joining us now from Patriot Elementary School, where kids will take part in today's Great Shakeout with some things that we should all know. Chris?
Maddie, good morning. And today at 10:21 a.m., students here at Patriot Elementary will stop whatever they're doing, drop down to the floor, and duck under their desks. No, we're not predicting an earthquake, but the Great Shakeout is just a drill, but it's a big one, with more than 30 million participants worldwide and 7 million here in California. Patriot Elementary Principal Ramiro Canales says with the unpredictable nature of earthquakes, drills like today's help put himself and his staff at ease.
It's not something that, you can't plan. Well, we can plan for it, but you don't necessarily know exactly when it's going to occur. But to have these drills is extremely important, just to have everybody prepared for just in case we have an earthquake.
Here at Patriot, after ducking and covering, students will meet on the grass fields, away from any buildings or tall trees. It's days like today that help mitigate the effects of quakes like the 2019 Ridgecrest quakes, which reached as high as 7.1 on the Richter scale, but killed no one here in Kern County. Now, the kids here know the drill is happening today, and Canales says there's a range of emotions ranging from anticipation to outright excitement. The Great Shakeout does run drills from everyone from individuals and families to businesses. If you want to know more and get prepared, you can visit www.shakeout.com/California. Live at Patriot Elementary, Chris Burton, 17 News.
Welcome back. Your time is 5:41. We're expecting some wet weather next week, but regardless of the upcoming rain event, California leaders are moving forward with their response to the statewide drought. 17th Ashley Zavala joins us with more on that and some concerns about the incoming rain.
We're following up with California's Natural Resources Secretary after Governor Gavin Newsom extended the drought-related emergency to the entire state. He says it's going to take more than a few rainstorms to get us out of this situation.
The depths of the challenge that we face with this drought right now. Our reservoirs, where a lot of our water supply is held, many are at their lowest level in 40 years.
California Natural Resources Secretary Wade Crowfoot echoing the governor's call for Californians to conserve water. In a second year of drought, the entire state now under a state of emergency after Californians conserved about 5% of water in August compared to the same time last year, as opposed to the 15% Governor Newsom requested. Crowfoot says the order to conserve water is still voluntary, not mandatory.
Californians are moving in the right direction, and we're seeing increased water conservation.
Crowfoot says over the next few months, the State Water Board will decide what wasteful uses of water should be banned during the drought.
And it's going to do so based on a lot of analysis and likely some public hearings. And so that process is going to really play out the rest of this year into early next year. And then we'll be in a place, if the drought persists and we don't get really strong precipitation this winter, to prohibit those wasteful uses heading into 2022.
With wet weather set to hit the northern part of the state over the next several days, state leaders say that much appreciated rain comes with a risk for which they're preparing.
I want to ask everybody to be vigilant, not only to conserve water because we're in a drought, but do be cognizant of flooding risks and take action and pay attention to your communities as they communicate what we can do to protect ourselves from flooding as well.
The state is set to spend about $5.3 billion over the next 3 years on drought response and long-term water projects. At the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, 17 News.
And we're back here at 5:50 in your 17 Health Watch. The Kern County Heart and Stroke Walk is set for next weekend. The virtual event is happening Saturday the 30th. Participants are encouraged to get moving in a location of wherever they choose in celebration of the event and post their contribution to the walk via the Heart Walk mobile app. Walkers will be ranked on BakersfieldHeartWalk.com, where you can also register your own walk. Funds raised through the walk go toward research and CPR training for heart-related health issues. And local law enforcement agencies are accepting expired, unused, and unwanted prescription drugs this weekend as part of the National Prescription Drug Take Back Day. The Bakersfield Police Department is partnering with Kaiser Permanente for a drive-through event this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Stockton Highway near South Real Road. Volunteers will be on hand to remove items from vehicles. First responders are accepting tablets, capsules, patches, and other solid forms of prescription drugs. You can also drop off items to be recycled at the event. For a list of items being accepted, just click the hot link icon on kget.com.
Meantime, the Kern County Network for Children and the Department of Human Services are holding a training session to recognize the signs of child abuse and neglect. Organizers say as a result of the pandemic, many children had fewer eyes ensuring their health and safety remained intact and thriving. This prompted providers to create a space to educate our community in hopes of promoting safer outcomes for children. The free online session is happening tomorrow at 11 a.m. For more information, call Alexis Shaw at 636-4993.
New research suggests there's a sweet spot for sweet dreams. The study from the Washington University School of Medicine found both short and long sleepers experienced greater cognitive decline than people who slept a moderate amount. Researchers studied 100 participants around the age of 75 whose cognitive function was monitored for 4.5 years. Overall, cognitive scores declined for the groups that slept less than 4.5 hours or more than 6.5 hours per night. Cognitive scores stayed stable for those who slept in the middle of that range. I don't know, 6.5? That is not enough for me.
Sounds
not
a little
close.
low. I'll take 9.
Yeah, I mean, definitely 8. Even though I don't really get that, but I need at least 8. 6.5? No thanks.
You can't recharge with 6.5.
No, I'd be grumpy.
Well, I guess that's what health experts are saying.
So weird.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.